Welcome to the Heart and Mind of Business. Today, Debbie is going to talk about the power of giving rather than getting. You are not going to want to miss this, so we'll see you in a second. Welcome to the Heart and Mind of Business. Today, this is super exciting. I can't wait to hear what Debbie has to say about the power of giving rather than getting. So, my friend, enlighten us.
The reason I thought about this topic was I had an experience recently. Now, COVID, we're all working, a lot of us working at home. Things are starting to open up around now. But there's a lot of networking online. So I've been doing a lot of networking, which is fantastic. I'm meeting people maybe that I wouldn't have met ordinary local networking. And when you're using Zoom and you have the chat box and we put our little bits of details in there, reach out if you're interested in, or your giveaways and all those different things. The one thing that I found recently, and it's not happened just once, but it's happened a few times, is that people are going through those chats, taking out the contact details and auto-subscribing you to their mailing lists. So all they're after is, what can I get from that networking? They're not interested in what you have to give. They're not interested in what anybody else is doing. They're thinking about, what can I get?
Right.
And in that getting, all they're doing is they're not following GDPR rules.
Right.
They're also subscribing where they're not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I had something around leasing cars. Oh, it's a cracking deal on Easter. And I thought, what on earth is this? Where does this come from? I don't lease a car. I'm not interested in leasing a car. So I contacted them and said, where did you get me? Where how did I get on your list? Oh, but you were on the networking. And I went back and said, well, the whole point is not to be on your list. I don't think you're GDPR compliant by just adding me. So already they were alienating me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I unsubscribed and I notified them that actually I wasn't very happy that I'd been put on their list. And then they asked me if I'd recommend them. And I thought, seriously?
No.
Seriously? I mean,
you want me to tell my friends? Yeah, sign up, he'll spam you.
Yeah. So they were in this desperate place of trying to build their list. I just want to get lots of people onto my list so I can send them out lots of stuff, with an automatic assumption that they will be interested in what I'm selling. Yeah. Right. So in their place of getting, where did it leave me? It left me feeling rather act off with them, quite frankly. Yeah. I'm thinking, no, I'm not your target audience. I'm not interested in lease cars. I'm not interested in this. Just take me off now. So this wasn't the first time, I've had other businesses do the same. So when we're getting and we're forcing that what we end up doing is cutting off the flow. Mm-hmm. Because, we're like, no, I don't want to be pulled into something. I want to do it because I'm enticed in, because it feels good, because it meets my needs, not because, I'm forced into something.
Well, and actually, even if next month you and your husband said, you know what, let's lease a car. Right? That's a great business write-off when you lease a car, because of the entire amount, is you can write off the entire amount, right? You will not go to him because of how he treated you, right? Yeah. Right? You wouldn't pick him out because he'd already spammed you once.
And that's interesting that you assumed it was a man because it was a woman.
Oh, I thought you said he, so.
Oh, she. Yeah, no, yeah. But, see, so there's two aspects. So if we're trying to get all the time, we can cut off our flow, like in that example, we just annoy people. Mm-hmm. Now, the other side of that is giving. We can be really good at giving. We can be really good at having great lead magnets. We can be really good at giving information away, creating events, allowing people to come to free things. And we could be really, really good at that. But we're not necessarily very good at allowing in back to us, at getting and receiving. So we might not be very good at receiving people who want to pay. We might not be very good at receiving higher class referrals, or we might not be very good at, because we feel like we've got to give things away all the time. So then, you know, people will just wait for your free stuff. They won't want to pay for it all the time. So we're blocking the flow that way. So it's finding that balance. And I know it's not necessarily easy, because it's having that flow, and they call it the law of circulation, where we are giving, but we're also receiving. So it's a bit like if you go out to lunch with someone and they always insist on paying the bill, you know, and it could be like, no, I don't want to go out with lunch with you if you're going to pay again. I want to pay, you know, because I want to have my share too. I want to feel that this is a, you know, and some people are really bad at receiving. They find it really difficult to say, oh yeah, that would be great, thank you, you know, and then they'll say, well, they might say, oh yeah, I'm good at receiving. And I say, well, how much are you good at receiving? If I offered you a glass of wine, would you receive that? Yeah. Okay, if I bought you a bottle of wine, would you receive that? Yeah, no problem at all. What about if I bought you a car? And they'll be like, oh, now there feels like there's strings attached. Now there feels, what about if I bought you a house? It'll be like, well, I couldn't accept that. So we have a balance somewhere of what we'll allow in and what we feel comfortable at giving out.
Isn't
And
that
it's
interesting?
finding that balance. Yeah.
So you think it's about a feeling of worthiness? Oh, I'm
Oh,
worthy of
yeah.
a glass of wine or a bottle of wine, but maybe not of you giving me the winery.
Yes. Oh,
Right?
yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it also comes back from conditioning and training, what we believe to be, well,
Sure.
that doesn't sound right. If somebody just buys me a car, there must be more. Now I feel obligated to them in some
Right.
way, or I feel guilty for taking it, or, you know, so it comes back to all those emotions rather than just saying, I'm just giving you a car and thank you very much.
Right. Well, and there's science, there's studies about the law of reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
The studies that show somebody, you gave them a Coke and then you ask them, you know, Coke and a cookie or whatever, and then you ask them to rate something. People who
Yeah.
got the Coke, the freebie, the Coke and the
Yeah.
cookie, rated this something better than the people who didn't get the freebie, right?
Yeah.
So there's something to that there for sure. So we're conditioned that way for sure.
A sense of obligation.
Mhm.
So, like you say, if I'm giving out a free something, there is sometimes a sense of obligation of giving back, but then you've got to be in a place of receiving it. Because if you're not ready to receive it, if you're not going like, oh, hang on, you don't have to pay for that yet, that's fine, no, that's still free, you don't need to, you're actually turning somebody away when they are wanting to give.
Right.
Because it actually feels good when we give, doesn't it? It actually feels good. It
Yeah.
feels good when we give. It feels good when we're buying something for ourselves, for our own development or our own good. And if somebody says, oh, no, you don't have to pay for that, somehow the worth in it is deflated. And we feel actually, maybe it's not what I thought it was after all. Maybe I don't want it now either because I'm not putting my value in it.
Right. Interesting. Yes. Interesting how our brains work,
Yeah.
which is why you have a business. Right. Right. Because our brains, sometimes we need help understanding what our brains and our conditioning are doing,
Yeah.
right? If we're not aware.
And
Interesting
you hear
stuff.
people all the time say, oh, I'm a really good giver. Oh, I'm a really good giver. And I said, well, what are you like receiving? And well, no, I'm not very good at that. And I said, well, actually, that's the thing to practice on then. Because you need to have that balance. You need to be good at both. And that really helps keep that prosperity flowing in and out and in and out and in and out. And what we want is that flow.
Interesting. Good stuff. Good stuff, my friend. I bet they could learn a whole lot more about themselves if they felt like they needed to by getting in touch with you. That's some of the work that you do, but thank you for sharing that with us today. I know that I found value in it, and I'm sure that our viewers found value as well. Okay, so we will see you guys next week. Before you leave, please take a moment and subscribe to our channel, like, share, hit the notifications so you know when we're coming. Although you know that we're here every Wednesday, same time, same place, to give you great stuff related to the heart and mind of your business. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.